Welcome, welcome. How y'all like that music? Thank you, DJ Abstract. Okay, we're gonna kick things off in 1 second. Before we get started, we're gonna do a very quick survey. Okay, so this question is for the middle schoolers and high schoolers, all the youth out there. Please, adults, please refrain from answering these questions. So question number one is, how much do you know about social justice on a scale of 1 to 5? Okay, first thing that comes to your mind, just put it out there. What we got? Okay, we got a certain number of people don't know too much about it. Well, we hope to change that today. And a decent amount of people say they're 3. So in between, we hope to increase that number a little bit too. And we got some 4s and 5s as well. So we got some veterans, okay? We've got some passionate youth out there about social justice. So that's really good to hear. Okay. So y'all came to the right place. Right on. Okay, so we're going to kick things started. First, we're going to play a very quick video that shows what the Alliance is all about. Okay, hopefully everybody enjoyed that very quick video. So good afternoon once again, and welcome to Black Excellence in Sports and in Action. My name is Otha Cole, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour. But before we really kick things off, I want to introduce the president and CEO of LA84 Foundation and president and CEO of Play Equity Fund, Renata Simrel.
Hey, thanks, Otha. Hey, beautiful people out there. You know, as Otha said, I'm Renata Simrel, president and CEO of the LA84 Foundation and the Play Equity Fund. And we are so super excited about tonight and so glad and grateful that so many of you could join with us tonight. So today, on behalf of our Alliance partners, we are bringing our community together to recognize Black excellence in sport and action. And this is in honor of Black History Month. And it's an opportunity for us to share ideas while also hearing from some amazing athletes who are true leaders in giving back to their communities. And I'm telling you, you are in store for a great conversation with an exceptional panel of athletes moderated by my good friend, Kiesha Nix, who runs the Laker Youth Foundation. And I guarantee you'll learn a lot tonight, and you'll certainly leave super inspired. I know I'm inspired every time I talk to these athletes. We'll learn a little bit about the journeys of Blake Bolden, Rushia Brown, Jordan Fuller, and how they're giving back to others. We'll also hear how Nia Dennis manages the demands of her schoolwork at UCLA while excelling at Black excellence on the mat, and then the work that goes into being an elite athlete and supporting the causes that she cares about. You know, Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. It certainly has been true in my life. And there's a lot we can learn from today's panel. They personify Black excellence. These great athletes are committed to being remembered for their ability to change the world as much as their athletic achievements. So I hope you enjoy the conversation this afternoon. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Otha to get us started with the conversation. Otha?
Thank you, Renata. Thank you. So we believe that student athletes are not only leaders in schools and on their teams, but can also be leaders and powerful voices in their communities. So at this, before I introduce the panel, I just want to explain a little bit about what that looks like. So the point of this event really is to bring in student athletes to inspire them, encourage them to learn more about social justice, and show them that you can you can excel at an elite level and still be involved in your community. So our panel, we're delighted to have our panel being moderated by Kiesha Nix. Kiesha is the executive director of the Lakers Youth Foundation and oversees and directs programming and funding priorities for the charitable arm of the Los Angeles Lakers. Kiesha worked with countless nonprofits here in LA and mentors youth throughout her community. Our first panelist is Jordan Fuller. Jordan Fuller is a safety for the Los Angeles Rams, and he just completed his first year in the pros. Before joining the Rams, Jordan was a member of the Ohio State Buckeyes, where he was named first team All Big Ten. Next, we have Rushia Brown. Rushia is the director of community relations with the LA Sparks. Rushia was born in New York City and played 12 years of professional basketball after graduating from Furman University. She is also the founder and president of the Women's Professional Basketball Alumni Association. And lastly, we have Blake Bolden. Blake is a professional NHL scout with the Los Angeles Kings. Blake played several years of professional hockey in Canada. And in 2015, she became the first Black woman to compete on the National Women's Hockey League. She's a graduate of Boston University. So hopefully everybody enjoys this conversation. I know I will.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kiesha Nix, and I am the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Lakers Youth Foundation. We are here today to celebrate not only Black History Month, but Black excellence in sports and action. We have an exciting panel discussion planned for you, and I can't wait to get started. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am an Angelino in heart. I grew up here in South Central Los Angeles in Inglewood, just a few feet away from SoFi Stadium and the Great Western Forum. And like all of you, our student athletes, I grew up in a sports family. Sports was mandatory. After religion came sports. And being a Lakers fan was not an option. It was in my DNA, always has been. So you can imagine my life coming full circle to now work with some of our current players, as well as our Lakers legends, to help them to impact the causes that are important to them. That has literally been a dream come true. One of those causes that everyone is so acquainted with is social justice. Here in Los Angeles, we've seen so many things over this last year. We've seen people fighting for equality, for creating opportunities and fair access. And that's something that is important, not only to the Lakers, but to all of the sports teams involved in the Alliance. The Alliance is made up of 11 sports teams. All of the professional sports teams here in Southern California have come together because we really, truly want to make a difference. Historically, athletes have always been a strong voice in social issues. Athletes are natural born leaders. Today, we see players, teams, leagues standing up against racial injustice, addressing inequalities, and trying to impact communities of color. This is what the Alliance stands for. And now to you, our student athletes, you are our future. You are our leaders. We are looking to you to take this baton and to run with it. Be our change makers. Be the change that we are seeking. You being here alone displays your commitment. We will talk about this and so much more with our panel, and hopefully give you some tips and some advice to balance all that you are currently experiencing. Let's create this change together. I'm excited about this panel. Oh my God, I'm so excited. We have Jordan, we have Blake, and we have Rushia, and we're gonna get started. Are you guys ready? Okay, so my first—
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my first question, we've seen so much over this last year, police brutality, voting, civic engagement, the pandemic. As we continue to navigate through all of this, what words of advice would you give to our student athletes out there? How do they stay focused throughout all of this? Let's start with you, Blake.
Yes, thanks, Kiesha. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. This is such a momentous occasion, and I'm so excited to sit down and talk with you guys about social justice and activism in our sport, in all sports, really. I would personally say, and my advice to the youth is to control what you can. There is so much, there's a lot of distractions happening around us, I would say to sit down and think about the ways and maybe make a plan of how you want to better not only yourself, but your community. I would say stick to like-minded individuals, friends, family, peers who want to uplift you and inspire you to be the best version of yourself. And just every day, try to take a task to achieve. I think when you put those things together, you'll see positivity in your future very soon.
Thank you, Blake. Jordan, what advice would you give to our student athletes?
The advice I would give to them is just, I know there's a lot of things going on, and I know that things can get tiresome, and it can be a lot of times overwhelming. But I think if you surround yourself with the right people, like Blake was saying, you can get through it. I think the worst thing you could ever do is just to stop and quit. I think the biggest thing you could do is just keep taking a step each day, whatever that looks like, whether that's being around your friends and family and discussing these types of issues, have to do with voting, social inequality, stuff like that. But also just maybe taking some time to yourself, stress relief, whether that's through your sport or music, whatever you decide. But I would say just day by day, just be you, and however you deal with things, you deal with it exactly like that, because everybody experiences things differently. And that's something I've learned this year. You can't tell somebody the exact way to cope with whatever they're going through. I think the best thing, best advice I can give is just deal with things the best way you know how. And if there's change that you want, go be that change. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate what you said about stress relief. I think we can all take a page from that and take notes. So Rushia, what about you?
I definitely believe that both Jordan and Blake have given some great insight. And just to add to what they've already mentioned, I think it's really important for our athletes, our student athletes, to understand their role is to be the example. So everything that you're good at, you continue to do that and lead by example. So many times we want to speak one thing and do something else, but the walk, you have to follow your heart and do the things that are best for you in your certain situation, and make sure that you're leveraging your platform. We have a tendency to have a greater expectation for the people in the forefront that are in the light, but not everybody leads the same way. So don't feel forced to march if you would prefer to write a letter, so whatever you're comfortable with, you move into that space and just leverage your platform in the way that you're most comfortable.
Thank you. I love that. We do all have a platform, whether it's big or small, everyone has a platform. So another question for all of our panelists, since we're talking about social justice, tell me, what does social justice look like for you? What have you participated in, over this last year or over the last couple of years? And then what other causes are important to you and why? Let's start this time with Jordan.
It's kind of been hard to get out into the community this year just because of COVID and stuff like that. But I've definitely, starting at the end of this season, talked to a few different organizations that I want to get involved in and stuff like that. But I would say this, thankfully, is one of my first community engagements, and I'm really, really excited for it. And I definitely don't take it lightly. But I love doing stuff like this, and trying to impact the youth and impact the community in the best ways that I can. But definitely more to come in the future.
Well, we appreciate you, Jordan, and we're excited that this is one of your first big ventures.
Yeah.
We hope it's all that you want it to be, and whatever words you want to say to the youth, I'm sure that they are listening intently. Rushia, what about you?
Like Jordan, I too have not been able to get out as much as I would like due to COVID. But one of the things I'm very fortunate with, I work with the LA Sparks, and the organization has been incredible with starting a social justice pillar, where I've been able to organize different events, have different panels, host them, have these conversations with both the people that fall in the minority, who are typically the victims, and the people that fall in the majority, because it's really our job to educate everyone on how this change could be impacted and how we have a part in it. So just the impact I've been able to have by conversation, doing workshops with youth, just making sure they understand that we all have to be a part of this change. And per our motto, change has no off season. So we've just been working at it full steam ahead.
Thank you. And I echo what you each are saying. It's been so challenging during COVID. I'm so used to being on the front line and, doing events all day, every day. And I've been able to do a few and to stay safe, but it has definitely been challenging, this virtual world that we're in. But as you said, we all have a platform and there's something that we can all do. Blake, what about you? What have you been doing, during COVID and with social justice?
Yes, absolutely. I love the phrase change has no off season because it truly does not. I come from the Los Angeles Kings. I've played hockey, ice hockey my entire life. Hockey is a predominantly white sport. And in this sport, I'm the first Black professional women's ice hockey player. And I'm also a scout with the Los Angeles Kings, the second woman to ever do so. And so with those metrics or accomplishments, I really take that very seriously and being a role model within my community. I love speaking to young Black and Brown youth that are interested in playing ice hockey. My predominant goal with the Los Angeles Kings is to diversify the sport and to inspire our Los Angeles neighborhoods to think about picking up a stick in the future. And for me, conversations like this, Zoom calls, working with kids, it's been extremely enlightening and I'm having a blast, but I'm very pleased and proud to be here with you all.
Blake, I'm going to go right back to you because I was so impressed when I met you over Zoom. I mean, you are Black girl magic persona. And I want you to speak to your own personal story. I want you to talk to our student athletes about how this young Black girl got involved in hockey in the first place. And what would you say to any of them who are looking at sports that are not the traditional sports? What advice would you give them?
Absolutely. I am not an Angelino. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And Cleveland is a big football, baseball, basketball town. My mother was a single mom up until I was 6 years old, where she had a relationship with a Caucasian male who I now call my father. And his favorite sport was ice hockey. So he initially gifted me the sport. And I would go to these games and I fell in love with how fast it was, how physical it was, the freeness that I felt when I would see the players skating a million miles an hour. So I wanted to try that. As a young Black girl in Cleveland playing hockey, there were a lot of boys. I was playing at a pretty high level. I progressed very quickly and it was challenging. I'm sure you can imagine the words that were spewed, the stares that I got, the discrimination that I had to overcome. But I really, really led heavily on my mother, who is a strong Black woman, and told me that, none of these things that are said to you negatively has anything to do with you. You are strong, you are powerful, step into that. And that is what I held on to. And that is what I tried to give all the time when I'm speaking to the youth. And I would just say, try to find out who you are when you're young, find out what you like, find out what your values are, because it's hard when all of these distractions are around you, when you want to conform. I would say, don't conform and be you.
Thank you. That is so inspiring. I hope everyone out there heard that. Jordan, I want to talk to you for a minute. I was going to ask you, if you are a leader or what does leadership mean to you, but I can answer that question for you. You are a leader. I know that because of your background. You went to Ohio State. You were literally a team captain as a junior. And I'm looking at you completing your rookie year in the NFL. Talk to us about, making that transition, all the awards that you've received. What is it like, to be a leader, to be a natural born leader? And tell us about your transition from college to now professional football.
For sure. I'll say being a leader, I think it just has come naturally to me. I think one of my biggest traits is just I care about people a lot. So whenever a teammate needs something or I see somebody struggling with something or somebody needs to be lifted up, I think I'm usually the first one there to try to do that. And I guess people gravitate towards that. So I was thankfully able to be a captain at Ohio State twice, because I tend to try to work hard too. So people look to that also. But yeah, I think being able to receive those awards for not only on the football side of things, but also academically, being a finalist for the academic Heisman, that was something that really made my family proud. So that's one of my biggest motivators, just making my mom, dad, brother, sister, all of them proud. And them knowing that I'm growing into the man I'm supposed to be, and they raised me to be. So that's one of my biggest motivators. But I would say the biggest differences in being in the NFL, I would say, is there's no school now. So it was kind of a lighter workload for me,
Wow.
honestly. Because I would really hit the books hard in college, but yeah, so it was a little bit of a lighter workload. So I was able to speak to my family a little more, and get to know my teammates a little better as well. So that was really fun. But yeah, that's me. I would say as a rookie, I kind of just sat back and didn't say too much, but I definitely want to develop into a leader for the Rams this coming year and the years in the future.
Wow, I've never heard anybody say it was almost like a lighter load. That means that you studied really hard. So student athletes, do you hear that? He took college on, took it seriously, studied, did well academically, so that by the time he got to the NFL, it was like he had a little bit of a break. So that, right. That's a great way to look at it. Very interesting way to look at it. Thank you, Jordan. Rushia, I want to ask you about some of the exciting things that you have going on over there at the Sparks. I know change has no off season, but you're doing some amazing things over there. And I think you're being a little modest. So I want to hear about one program in particular that you created yourself.
For the Sparks or personally?
For the Sparks.
A lot of different things. Okay.
I think it's with the girls. Is it Boss Girls?
So Boss Girls is my personal program. And
oh, okay.
But with the Sparks, we have the We Are Girls, and we actually do workshops. Because of COVID, like everyone else, we've had to create different virtual opportunities. And so we did a workshop late September, where we had over 100 girls register, and we'll be moving into a tech summit that we'll be doing for the young ladies. So we've had incredible women that are signing up to speak with them and give them opportunities to learn more about STEAM and STEM. And one of the ones that was my favorite was a young lady that works for Procter & Gamble. And when you think about scientists, like you don't think about shampoo, but she shared with us how they had to do all the studies. They went over to Africa because our curl pattern as African-American women and men is very different. So they had to study all these things and figure out which chemicals and which product would make the hair softer. So she will be sharing that with the girls, and just a lot of different things. So we pride ourselves in looking into a space where the young ladies may not have gotten as much exposure. So this will be something that I'm really looking forward to, but it's really about just making sure we give them an opportunity, because just looking at the places that we tend to draw our young ladies from, they don't always have access. And it's really important to let them understand what's going on beyond their window, because it's hard to envision, being something or doing something when you haven't seen anyone else do it. So it's all about that exposure. So that's really something we're excited about with our We Are Girls program.
No, I love that. It takes me back to Blake. I mean, you can't do something that you never see. And so, for all of you, being out there on the forefront and being examples and role models, sometimes you don't sign up, to be a role model, but it happens and you've all embraced it. And Rushia, tell me a little bit about Boss Girls. I know that's your personal project, but I want to know about Boss Girls.
Boss Girls came to be because of COVID. I typically do a lot of mentoring and working with young women, but when COVID struck and we were all stuck in the house, I wasn't able to reach out to the young ladies that I typically work with, and it impacted them, but it impacted me as well. Like I get my energy from their point of view, just from who they were. So I sat down and put together an 8-week curriculum for young girls, and we would do it virtually. So I would have different speakers come in, and bosses, brilliant, ambitious, worthy, strong, and educated. So just helping our young ladies understand that no matter what's going on, we still have we still have the opportunity to be great and to be a boss. So that's something that I've worked with. I partner with other organizations that have the young ladies, and they're doing virtual programming, put together a workbook written by me, which was the hardest part, just trying to put my thoughts down. I really love this being in the space where I could help young ladies, get to what it was. Because I know when I was younger, I needed a mentor. So my goal has always been to be the mentor that I needed at 13, 14, 15.
That's amazing. Blake, let's sign up. Let's be boss girls.
I'm down, Kiesha.
I love it. I love it. Now I have a question that I want to address to each of you. Tell me about, heroes or role models that you've had, growing up or now in present day. Who are some people that you actually look up to and why? Let's start with you, Blake.
Yes, absolutely. I think role models are so important. We just spoke on, if you can see it, you can be it. And when I was growing up, there weren't any Black professional women's ice hockey players for me to look up to. I just spoke on my mother, who was very strong. Obviously, people like Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King kind of gave me that power and that push to think, I belong in this space that I'm at. We have Willie O'Ree, who is the first Black professional ice hockey player in the NHL. Oh man, way back in the day. He's 85 years old, still pushing and doing amazing work in our sport to this day. So when I found a time and an opportunity to connect with him and listen to the things that he's experienced, it gave me a different perspective and ideas about inspiring the youth moving forward.
That's amazing. Wow, he's 85?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was really an honor for you to be able to talk to him.
Absolutely, it is. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's getting his jersey retired as he started playing in Boston. So it's really great achievements for him.
That's great, Blake. And you don't even realize people are talking about you the same way. Like I talk about, like you're, my BFF. I want to know that you exist, that you have this amazing story. And I think it's so motivating and so inspiring. So I'm very, very proud of you.
Thanks, Kiesha.
And Jordan, who are some people that you look up to or have looked up to over the past?
It's funny. I would say my biggest role model is my older brother. So he's 4 years older, and I basically followed in his footsteps. So anything he did, I wanted to do. So we played football, basketball, ran track growing up. And when he got to high school, I mean, we always had aspirations of playing in the NFL, but you never really know if you can do it. But he got to high school, and I was just watching him, and he became one of the biggest names in the whole state of New Jersey. Actually went to UCLA, so that's kind of how I have LA ties, and I have some family out here. But he went to UCLA and got drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. So basically, after he did that, I was like, I could do it too. I know I can. So it's pretty cool how we all of us have different stories of seeing different people do these things, and it kind of puts that belief in ourselves. And it's also a motivating factor as well. So I would say he's my biggest role model. And now just off the field, his career is over now, but off the field now he's getting into real estate and a bunch of different things like that. So I'm kind of following in his footsteps too. I'm not there yet, but hopefully one day. But he's definitely one of my biggest role models and best friends too. So it's really cool to have a role model like that inside my household.
That is exciting for your family to have, two professional, athletes, football players, 4 years apart. And then for your brother to be starting like his next career, like you said, you really have somebody to look up to, and he can give you, I'm sure you're probably already thinking about what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I mean, not yet. That kind of makes me a little nervous because I've never really had life without sports. So that'll be a little different, but I'm gonna embrace it when that time comes, and I definitely have this support system around me to help me through that.
That's great. I love this emphasis on family. You know, there's great role models everywhere, and it's amazing how there are people that we've never even met before, but they can really impact your life, and we do look up to them. But then you can actually find a role model literally in your own house. You know, and that's important, especially to our student athletes out there. Rushia, who are some people that you've looked up to or inspired you?
You know, and I follow suit, excuse me, with both Blake and Jordan. My primary role models came from my family. I wasn't a huge sports fan growing up as a child, and my mom and my dad were business people, entrepreneurs. So I just saw their work ethic, and I saw how, you know, they didn't work from 9 to 5. They worked until the job was done. And I didn't understand it then, why my mom worked so hard and so long, and why my dad was always, you know, working. But those are the things that really stuck with me. So I lost my father when I was a freshman in high school, but he was a huge Laker fan. And, you know, as a young girl, you don't really aspire to be like Magic or James Worthy, but those were the people that I watched. So when I lost him, that's when I turned to sports, because I wanted to have that connection. So he actually introduced me to the game. And then when he passed on, then that game was my way of connecting with him. But I implemented that work ethic, that wanting to be my best and not leaving, you know, like in the gym until I got done what I needed done. So just those little things were what really helped me to achieve professional status and then to move on to do things great beyond the game. So I'm very excited. My mom still is here with me. She lives with me here in Vegas, but that work ethic was a huge, huge part for me.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love that your dad was a huge Lakers fan. And they brought you into the fold. And that's what it was for my family. Like I said, there's not even, you know, an option. And my grandparents were, you know, huge role models for me. Like your parents, I just saw them work hard. They weren't famous. They weren't, you know, rich with wealth, but the spirit that they carried and everything that they did for our community. And that's where I got, you know, my community, you know, passion from, just watching them, you know, help others, you know, was just so important to me. So I'm glad that we all have family in common. So before we close here, I want to, you know, ask one, you know, final question to our panel. Just, you know, what would you say to these young student athletes? Any last words of wisdom or words of advice that you would want to give to our student athletes out there, either about what's happening right now or anything that's happened in the past or just about their futures? What would you say to them? Rushia, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, I'm going to piggyback on what Jordan said earlier. You know, like go out there and be that change. Like you have an opportunity to impact this world, and your attitude towards how you do everything is extremely. And I have a tendency to speak about your passion. Find something that you love and do that. You know, make it the thing that you are driven to and driven by. And so I'll be quick, but your passion is perseverance, attitude, sacrifice, setting goals, inner strength, optimism, and never giving up. You know, with those 7 qualities, you put yourself in a position to be successful no matter what capacity you're in. You could be a professional athlete, doctor, teacher, but with those 7 key traits, you'll be successful. So stay focused.
Thank you, Rushia. You are a boss girl. Blake, what would you say?
Oh man, ditto. That was amazing and so inspirational. I feel like I could get up and do something right now. I would just say, step into your power. Step into your power. Realize that you are valuable, that there is no one else on this planet like you, and figure out what you can do about that to shape the world that you want to see. And as everybody has said on this panel, it could be being an activist, it could be writing a letter, it could be a gamut of things, but just truly find out who you are and realize your worth and your value.
Thank you. I love that. I know I feel the same way as you, Blake. We can get up and go change the world right now.
Yeah.
Jordan, what would you say?
I mean, I would just piggyback off of what they said. I would say allow yourself to be inspired, because I know coming off of this call, speaking with you guys, I'm extremely inspired and motivated. I definitely want to do more, and my eyes set high for myself now, and I know it's possible because you guys have done it. So I'm gonna kind of compete with you guys a little bit, if that's okay. But yeah, I would say allow yourself to be inspired, and you're way stronger than you think. I know after this year, I know a lot of times we're tough, and we're all here today on the other side of it. We're not done yet, and we're gonna keep fighting. But I think if you realize that you're way stronger than you think, and make every day your masterpiece, I think you'll look up and look back and be really, really proud of yourself on the other side. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. And Jordan, you don't have to be in competition with us. We can all work together.
For sure.
We can help each
Healthy.
other. We can have some friendly
Yeah.
competition.
Of course.
But no, I love all of this. I want to, personally just say, to those student athletes out there that what you've heard today here was just a wealth of knowledge and just sincere advice from these amazing professionals. And I would just offer you, don't limit yourself. Don't let anybody tell you what you cannot do or what you can or cannot be. It's not about where you start. I mean, look at all of us. Look at some of the obstacles and challenges that we've overcome and look at where we are now. And then lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help. The smartest people in the world ask for help. The smartest people raise their hands and take, advice from others. So I want to thank our amazing panel. I want to thank Rushia. I want to thank Jordan. I want to thank Blake for being here today. I want to thank the Alliance because we couldn't be here without the Alliance. The Alliance is doing some amazing work. We have a long way to go to see this change, but we're excited about it. We're embracing it. And to you student athletes, thank you for being here today. I hope that you've been motivated or inspired because we want to see you be Black excellent in sports and in action. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That was a terrific panel. I really hope y'all got just as much out of that as I did. So thank you so much to Blake, Jordan, Rushia, and thank you, Kiesha, for moderating. In our next section of the program, we're spotlighting an athlete who started high-level competition at a very young age. She was a member of the USA national team from 2012 to 2016. And now, as a senior at UCLA, her athleticism, creativity, and unapologetic celebration of Black excellence has gone viral. I'd like to welcome Nia Dennis to the stage, but first, let's see a quick video of one of her routines. Oh, that was incredible. It looked like you're having so much fun. Okay.
So much fun.
Yeah. So Nia, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into questions and answers?
Yes. Okay. Well, my name is Nia Dennis, and I'm a senior at UCLA. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I also lived in Chicago, Illinois, from about 14 to 18. I have one younger sister. Um, and yeah, my journey as a gymnast kind of began when I was about 4 years old and continued on ever since.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you were an elite athlete at a very young age. How did you get involved in gymnastics? And can you tell us a little bit about what that world is like?
Yeah, so like I said, I started gymnastics when I was 4 years old. And honestly, I tried a lot of other things. I tried ballet, piano, and those I cried at every lesson. It was not for me. It was not fitting for me. And, you know, my parents always told me that whenever I was at the playgrounds, I was always flipping around and just doing the most on the playground. So they decided to put me in gymnastics, and I didn't cry, and I had fun, and I was always smiling. And, you know, I really enjoy gymnastics, and I really love it. And that's my passion. And like you said, and I was an elite gymnast for a long time. And the elite world is really intense. It is a lot of intense training. I practiced for about 35 hours a week. I sacrificed a lot too. I sacrificed going to school. So I was homeschooled from about fourth grade to 10th grade. And I was also attending monthly camps in Houston, Texas that were very, very, very intense.
Wow, that's incredible. You know, you kind of answered it, but I'm going to ask it again. How do you balance that all? Particularly in college, you're being an elite athlete with school and your personal life.
Yeah, balancing it all is definitely difficult, and it's something that I struggled with coming into college. But it's really helpful if you kind of make a plan, make a daily plan of everything all of your responsibilities that you need to tackle. It's easier to see it laid out, and then you can physically check it off when you're done.
I know that's a satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can all tell just how much joy, you know, being on the mat really brings to you. Can you tell us just a little bit how it feels when you know you landed a really good routine or you did really well?
Yeah, it feels like amazing. It honestly feels like all of the hard work and dedication and hours and blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your sport, it has finally paid off. And you know that under a moment of pressure, you did what you were supposed to do, and you can just celebrate all of the hard work that you put in.
Yeah, amazing. So we can tell your heart is really into your sport. Can you tell us a little bit about what social justice issues are close to your heart?
Yeah, so racial injustice issues are definitely close to my heart because one, I'm directly affected every day, and you see a lot of racial injustices within the gymnastics community as well. And I really wanted to make a change in any way that I could, especially the gymnastics community being a predominantly Caucasian sport. I wanted to make a path and make a clear way for young Black gymnasts as well.
Yeah, great. And you know, and your team I think was titled Black Excellence. So anything that inspired you to put it out there and celebrate Black excellence on the mat?
You know, so last year I actually did a Beyonce routine that went viral, and it was a lot of Black culture in the dance moves that I did, but it wasn't really clear that that's what it was. And I wanted to be very clear with what the message that I wanted to get across this year. And, you know, I really believe that this routine is just a reflection of everything that I am as a woman today. And that was really the inspiration behind it all.
Oh, that's truly incredible.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about who your heroes are or the people that you look up to?
Yeah, so some people I look up to are Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles. They're two incredible gymnasts that made it to the Olympics. I believe representation is very important. You know, they were before my time, so I had them to look up to, I also trained with them for a few months and actually a couple years with Gabby. And, you know, they both gave me some tips and points of advice that I can always take with me and that I value so heavily because we can relate on so many levels. And, you know, I can look to them and say that if they can do it, so can I.
Okay, that's great. Is there any tips you can give high school athletes on preparing to play the sports in college?
Just some tips that I would say again is definitely plan out your days and be really proactive with connecting with professors. It makes it a lot easier in the academic world, and taking care of your body is very important as well. Make sure you ice your injuries if you have any injuries, and sleep is very important. So make sure you dedicate time to sleep.
That's cool. Is there anything you're looking forward to doing your senior year this year?
I'm looking forward to win a national championship with my team.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, wonderful. So you know what? We actually have a question from a high school student. We're going to bring him on, and he's going to ask you.
Oh my gosh.
Hello. I hope you're
Hi.
having a wonderful day. My name is Piche, and I'm a senior at LA Provincial High School. And my question is, what's your favorite part about being in college?
My favorite part about being in college is definitely the freedom that I have to really make time for things that I want to do aside from sports, aside from academics. I have a lot of free time to also do things that make me happy, that I enjoy doing. For example, I love to dance. So I have a lot of time. I make time in my days so I can dance too.
Thank you, Kevin from LA Promise Charter High School, for asking that question.
Thanks, Kevin.
I got one last question for you. So what's next for you in competition or even after school?
For competition, we actually have a competition coming up this Saturday. It is our very first Black Lives Matter meet, and I'm very excited to be a part of this. And after school, I'm hoping to get into stunt doubling, hoping to get into the dance world, maybe some acting, definitely anything in entertainment.
Well, I don't think I'm the only one to say this. I think whatever you do, you're going to do really well at it. You really have the work ethic and the charm to do so.
Thank you so much.
But you know, time is really zipping on by, so we're going to wrap this portion up. So hopefully everybody got a chance to hear everything that you said, and just from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for taking the time to come out and do this. We know with school and with your team, you don't have much free time. So I know everybody here is just really thankful for you being here. So thank you so much, Nia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, and rolling right along, we're going to have another few quick polls before we close things out.
They were like, "Pop, why you all like that? Why you talk like that? Why you all like that?" I'm off of Eddie, I'm up. I don't got no time to relax. Time to relax. I turn a two to a four, then I turn a five to a stack. Five to a stack. I was just down in the bottom, talking them back at it back. I got this shit out the mud, but they don't want to talk about that. Keep it a stack. Know that we Xing you out if you be moving too fast, and that's a fact. Just keep talking about looking for me.
Okay, number, how satisfied were y'all with this event?
11 words to be exact. If I ain't a nurse and I'm on a V, 11 words to be exact.
Okay.
Also real, yeah, I'm just
Got a couple more polls for y'all.
have a bag on your head just to get rid of you. Chain dug no action, you gon' get rid of who? Me and Tay slide on, and we got missiles too. I'm off of Eddie, I'm up. I don't got no time to relax. Time to relax. I turn a two to a four, then I turn a five to a stack. Five to a stack. I was just down in the bottom, talking them back at it.
How much do you agree with this statement? Because of this event, I want to learn more about social justice.
You gon' get hit. I took a sip of that lean, that shit me tripping, but I want dipping. Tears rolling down my face, cause I see all my shit was different. She try to say I ain't already don't listen. But stress for real, sometimes I wish I never did hit it. I'm off of Eddie, I'm up, I don't got no.
Last poll, how likely are you to go to another Alliance event?
I got options. I can pass that like Stockton. Just joshing. I'm spending this holiday locked in. My body got rid of them toxins. Sports in the top 10. I can put the ball in the end zone, put a bad bitch in the friend zone. This shit sound like an intro jet song, give me that tempo. Told Pooh he a fool with the shit. Told her don't let her friends know. In the Ville and I move like a dime. Eating fettuccine at Vincenzo's. Me and my amigos got that free smoke on the West Coast. Yeah, I'm talking about pre-rolls. Dark hair bitch, she look like she go. She do. Hometown hero, feeling myself, can't murder my ego. She heard of my
Okay.
beat,
Okay.
certified freak, hang around us and she learning my lingo.
Well, thank you all so much again for showing up, and thank you to the panelists, moderator, and to Nia for coming out and taking the time and connecting with some of the youth out there. So before we wrap things up, I do want to give some quick shout outs to some of the schools and organizations that made their way out here to get on this Zoom. Shout out to Brentwood High School. We got a representation from Concerned Black Men, Dorsey High, Inglewood High, Ellie Promise Charter High School, KIPP Academy, Crenshaw High School, Price High School, Redondo Union, San Pedro, Santa Barbara School of Squash is here, Van Nuys High School, View Park High School, Walt Whitman High School, Morningside High School. And my apologies if I missed some of y'all out there for coming out here. And as you can see, the slide here is if you want to stay connected with the Alliance, really hope y'all do. We just launched this last year, so we're recruiting right now. So you can check us out on Twitter, you can check us out on Instagram, and check us out on Facebook. And if you want to come to our very next event, our next event's not going to be a panel, it's actually going to be a workshop on athletes speaking truth to power. And we're going to really show y'all how to show student athletes how to really get their voice heard out to actual elected officials here in the LA area. So, it's April 22nd, mark that on your calendars. You will be hearing from us. And that's all, folks. Hope you enjoyed your time.